Welcome to People Are Everything, the show where I ask my guests, who are the 5 people that have shaped the person you are today? And today, to finish season 3, we have Julia Carreon, or as I've come to know her as JCC. What can I say? Julia is a real firebrand in her field. She is, she's worked in some of the biggest names you can imagine, like Wells Fargo. She's an absolute tech powerhouse and an innovator, a groundbreaker. I mean, so many wonderful things. But also in this episode, she shares a lot of the emotional side of herself beyond the tech. And it's a very, very revealing and very warm conversation. And it's absolutely, it was always going to be my choice to have her be the finale of season 3. So please enjoy Julia Carreon. Hey Julia, this is Julia. I just wanted to say that, actually, as a starting point. I just love saying hello to myself, but no, I don't meet many Julias, so this is already a pleasure. But yes, how are you today?
I'm very excited to be here. Thank you. It's a beautiful day here in Austin.
And you just told me it's a Labour Day, which means like a bank holiday, we'd call that in England. Is that right?
Yes, it is. It is a holiday to celebrate the American worker, I think. That was the genesis of it.
Is that true, though? Because I have a feeling, I've worked in the States before, and I always thought the Labour Days, they were kind of tacked on to your annual leave. And you're meant to sort of like, in England, a bank holiday is like a total bonus. Like it's literally, you have your annual leave and then you have your bank holidays. And I was led to believe that a Labour Day is you kind of factor it into your annual leave. Like it's almost like part of it. Is that fair? Is that a fair assumption?
It's a good question. The thing about Labor Day is that it comes at the end of summer. So when in the 70s, it used to be that school would go back in after Labor Day. So you would start on the Tuesday after Labor Day. But for some reason, it's changed over the years. And so my kids went back to school 3 weeks ago. So now they have a long weekend because of this holiday. It's very strange. I don't know that it has the same. I think it's evolved, is my guess.
All right. No, I guess I'm feeling sorry for my American cousins because I have a feeling you get less holidays than us. I'm pretty sure of it, actually.
Oh, we definitely do. Yeah, no, it's terrible. Yeah.
So that's why I was saying, was it really to help people out?
Oh.
Who knows? My American history is not that great. But anyway, it's a pleasure to have you here. And thank you for taking the time on Labor Day to talk to me. I think you know the format. This is all about talking about the 5 people that have made some kind of impact on you that you are choosing to honor today. But it's a real honor to have you. I seem to be getting more and more accomplished people on my podcast, which makes me feel very grand and proper. But your work history, your career history is astonishing. And I was introduced to you, I believe, by Matt Ziegler. I think you and I have both been on Just Press Record, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
So before we get into your career history, how was that for you? Because I really enjoyed it. I loved that show, being on it.
Well, I don't want to put any pressure on you, Miss Julia, but it is my favorite podcast recording of all time. And I've had some really good ones. My second favorite has been speaking to a massively viral podcast in Asia that's been viewed by hundreds of thousands of times. And yet Just Press Record was my favorite. Like the format is so much fun. And I got to meet Hal Hirschfeld in mine and we just had the best time. So I absolutely loved it. Yes.
Well, I'm going to try and be third. I don't think I can beat Matt. I definitely can't beat Matt. He was a wonderful guest on here. And then I went on his show. And the lady I was paired with was a lady called Nancy Berger, who I'm actually having dinner with now in Boston. I don't live in Boston. I live in Surrey in England. But we're having dinner in Boston in about 2 weeks' time, actually. So isn't it interesting? You meet these people randomly. And his show is a wonderful connector of people. And he's a great host. So I'll see what I can do, Julia.
He was great on your, he was good. He was really great on your show too. So I totally enjoyed that. And I hope people listen. It was really wonderful.
Well, I learned a lot from yours. And I think we're cut from the same cloth in some ways. I think this idea of reinvention, I know that's a big thing for you. This idea of being champions for workers over the age of 50 and how important we are to the workplace. The whole kind of Gen Z thing, I'm trying to understand this generation. I want to get into that if we can a bit today. And the one thing, I wrote this lying down because I absolutely loved it. You know, the beauty is what you learn between here and there. That really impacted me because it's like, if you are going to take a leap of faith, if you're going to try something new, and I'm hoping we're going to get into your career history in a minute, it isn't necessarily that it was a right or wrong decision, but it's what you learn in the process. I think that's what you meant by that line, isn't it?
It is. And what's funny is that I came here today with a list of 5 people who very deliberately influenced where I am today in ways that was completely unexpected. So I didn't choose kind of those people that made big impressions in my life when I was very young in a warm and comforting way, but I chose people that really showed up in a way that now looking back at and turning 55 in a few weeks, just, like one of those milestone birthdays, I look back on them and say, you know what, I wouldn't have ended up here without them. And that's all of them are the people that I chose to say that they really made a difference in my journey.
And how did you find choosing your 5? How was it straightforward, or did you land on that straight away, or did you noodle it for a while and then make that decision?
It was. I love that you asked that question. And the best interviewers are the ones that ask good questions. So obviously, but I think a lot of people take it for granted, the ability to ask a good question. But no, it was hard actually, because for example, I don't have a grandparent on here, and a lot of people take their grandparents, and I get a lot. I hope you can relate to this, Julia. I get a lot of grief for just not being very sentimental. Mm-hmm. And I think people expect women to kind of if you're a mother, to all be maternal, to all have these same characteristics and character traits that we don't expect from men. And so, right? So I picked in a very unsentimental way, which is completely my brand, and yet I get a lot of hell for it.
I'm so glad you said that, because I had a big change of life about 5 years ago and packed up a 4-bedroom house, and my ex-husband and I went our separate ways, very amicably, but we went our separate ways. And this 4-bedroom home of, a lot of family life, and, he and I have been together for like 30 odd years, lots of life, lots of stories, lots of things happening. And I drove away with do you know what a Bedford van is? Do you know what that is? It's a really small van.
Okay.
Small. And like when people move house, they take 3 great big trucks sometimes. And I drove away with a Bedford van, which is a very small footprint. And
wow,
that's all I wanted. And I kept a few things that were sentimental. But I was, and we're roughly the same age. I turned 55 in June. And so I was 50 when this happened. And I just basically said, I don't need all these things. I don't need all this stuff. I took a handful of things, put them in a little box, and that was enough. And yeah, I know some of my mummy friends in particular were astonished that I didn't take every single painting and every single thing that the kids had ever done. But I didn't. I just drove away with a small van. How about that?
Can I just say how that is just such a... we could have an hour and a half conversation just about that, because turning 50 for me was also, we downsized our house. It's a lot about letting go. And that is a beautiful thing and a poignant thing, but not an insignificant thing either.
Yeah, very freeing though. But
yes.
Well, listen, we have a lot in common, I'm sure. And but one thing we don't have in common is, I can't hold a candle to your career. So let's talk about your career and a bit more about who you are before we get into your 5. So I know, but if you can let the listeners know who you are.
Well, thank you for saying kind things about my career. I do have, looking back, I do have kind of a fascinating career. And when I look back on it, the most important thing that I hope I've done is be a good role model for the next level of leadership, to look at me and say that I cared about people in a meaningful way, and lifted them up and made them better. And I don't mean that in a trite way at all, because what I do for a living is major transformation at scale, which is like large $100 million plus programs in financial services focused on wealth management, which has some of the most complex account types in financial services, as we all know. And when I look back on the body of work that I've done, I really try to teach women to be okay with bragging, because we don't do it enough. And I think that hurts us actually in the workforce. So when I look back on my career, I am really proud of the massive bodies of work that my team has managed to get to the finish line. 70% plus of projects in financial services fail, and mine don't. And when I say that, it sounds cocky, and yet my projects don't fail because I ask for help. And I think that that's a really important nuance, where a lot of people in our business just get so wrapped up in our ego that we just think we have to constantly be heroes. And our idea of heroism is to just do it ourselves. And when I look back on my career, I realized I didn't do it by myself. And it was always the team, and it was always the people around me. And we're going to have one of my people is my boss. I had a boss for almost 15 years, the same boss. So those people are what made my career. But in a nutshell, I managed the largest conversion of investment management accounts in U.S. banking history and didn't miss a single file. I brought the first tablet app for financial advisors to Wall Street before anybody else. Morgan, Merrill, nobody got there first. It was the first to put trust accounts online. So when I look at kind of the body of innovation and work that we've done, I am really proud of it. And it is really cool to be sitting here and have that be just such an unexpected journey.
Oh, and the other thing that, you haven't mentioned it. Oh, first of all, I am not going to be so self-deprecating either. My career's been fine, actually. Mine's
Yes.
pretty good too. So yeah,
I know.
I'll take my lead from you. I'm going to be more boastful.
You should.
We should, shouldn't we? Why don't we? We can get into that later. But no, women don't generally sort of shout about their accomplishments, do they? Interesting.
We're taught not to. It's kind of, we're forced into a good girl box.
Yeah.
When we're young. Yeah, we're conditioned.
All right. Well, I'm going to try harder in that department. But one of the things I noticed about your career, and especially some things you talk about online, is that you also keep up with technology to the point of being ahead of it. And I love how you talk about AI, for example. You talk about it very much like it's a tool set, it's a toolkit, it's an enabler, but actually it's people at the center of it that are really going to move the dial. And I remember reading something you said about it's all about the execution, which is still a human endeavor. Even if you've got the shiny tools, if you don't have the execution and you're not answering the right problem, you're not identifying the problem before you try and find the answer. It's that kind of blend of human talent and human endeavor with knowing which lever to pull and which piece of technology to bring. And I imagine that's the key to your success all across your career, is just that push and pull of latest this, but enabling or kind of getting the right team together to actually execute. Am I right in saying that?
Yes, I love that. I love that you put it that way. That is absolutely how it is. And I think that it's really easy to get caught up in the tech and forget that it's about people. But I don't know if you saw just last week, Gallup or MIT or someone just announced that only 5% of AI projects are actually successful. I mean, think about that. And think about how much the billions of dollars of capital that are being thrown at these projects that are just ending up on the cutting room floor. I talk a lot about how I believe that waste is one of the reasons why, specifically in the wealth management space, we're just not as technology enabled as we should be. It's because we're running too fast at the wrong things. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I do think that people are, it's always, everything is about people.
Oh, good. That's lucky. Lucky for me at this particular podcast. Now, I'm a big fan of us. I love technology. I really do. I'm not ahead of the game, but I'm quite an early adopter of things. I will take things on and try things. But at the heart of everything, I said to someone the other day, I said that because someone was getting themselves a bit overexcited about the power of AI. I said, well, the problem is the computers aren't actually the end consumer of anything. I said, the moment they can start having their own decisions about what they buy, then I'll start, then, perhaps they might take over the world. But meanwhile, everything we do has a human being at the end of it. So, I'm still a big fan of us. I think we're fine. I think we're going to harness the power of this thing, but guide it with with humanity. That's my big statement of the day. But anyway, so I think you're squarely in that world. I'm more of a sort of lay interested person in that world. And the other thing I wanted to mention before we get into your 5 was, your kind of, I imagine it's driven a little bit by your kids. I know you've got kids. We've got kids roughly the same age, I think. But your interest in the Gen Z generation is really fascinating to me too. That you are intrigued by them, tapping into them. You're seeing them as the kind of future of our next sort of wave of whatever that might, what is next. And so, how does that actually transpire in your day to day? What are you actively doing to sort of develop an understanding of the Gen Z generation?
Well, I mean, so I was inspired to understand Gen Z better starting in 2017. And that was really based on seeing kind of an intersection of decades of ire leveled at millennials, constantly with baby boomers just trashing on millennials and talking about all of their deficits and shortcomings. And me having Gen Z kids coming up and thinking, it is completely unfair for an older generation to completely dump on the younger generation for absolutely with no understanding of who they are. And so I started studying them and then came up with this idea of the fact of haptics. I really honed in on this idea that we are very much influenced by the tactile ways that we've grown up. And so your haptic memory, touch, feel, sound, and sight, hearing, all of that forms by the time you're 3, and it stays with you until you die. And we really forget about that impact on kind of all of the consumer goods that we are consuming, all of the ways that we interact with human beings. And just in a nutshell, Gen Z is the first generation of humans with haptic memory of technology. And people really misunderstand the millennials as having that, and it's not true. So I've just decided that Gen Z is just very cool because they are the first generation with haptic memory of tech. And I believe that they are ultimately big disruptors because they're going to force industry to evolve in ways that industry has been allowed to kind of not be as fast as I think they should be. And I think Gen Z will force that in interesting ways. So I just started reading and forming opinions about it, did a ton of research back then. And then as a result of it, I got keynotes at Brandeis University and Finovate and all over and got a ton of publicity, which is also, Julia, why I say it's really important as an older person to stay relevant. So it was also a way for me to force myself to stay relevant.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I agree with everything you said. I mean, I mean, we all maligned the Gen Zs when we're standing in the line for the coffee and they give you that blank look, and there's that kind of, there's some behavioural things that generationally don't cross over. You know about this thing? Yeah. Occasionally there's that cultural kind of mismatch, but generally speaking, I love the company of Gen Zs. My kids and their friends, I find them the most fascinating people. And I look back at my sort of early 20s. I don't think I was particularly bothered about anything other than seeing my mates and, just going to the pub and generally living a fairly shallow life. Actually, I was in a band. I was happy with I was into music. I didn't care about the world. Not at all. I didn't read a newspaper. I didn't watch the news. But as you say, this generation's been sort of tapped in from the beginning. And the stuff that their worldview, if you take the time to listen to them and really listen to how they think, it's really, some of the best conversations, certainly for me recently. So good. We're cheerleading them together. All right.
Love it.
Well, shall we do it then? Shall we do the 5? Should we start?
Let's do the 5.
All right. I always joke that the top one kind of everyone says in no particular order, but is yours in a particular order?
Yes, of course it is. Oh my gosh, you're going to get me going. I have OCD so badly. Yes, it's definitely, it is in chronological order, starting from kind of when I'm 18 to now is kind of how I thought about it. So
let's go.
No pressure. I'm stressed.
Don't be stressed. I'll look after you. All right. Who's number 1 then?
Okay. So my number 1 is my best friend from 5th grade, her name is Maya Stonecastle. Very cool name. Very cool woman who lives in Ireland. Now is retired in Ireland with her lovely husband, Adam. And the reason that I chose Maya is because I had a very abusive, difficult childhood. And I moved out of the house on the eve of my 18th birthday. And Maya came and got me in her convertible. Her mom had won the lottery, literally in California when we were like in high school. So her mom bought her this fabulous red convertible, and she picked me up in her convertible, and I threw my suitcase in the back of her car, one suitcase, and we drove away like Thelma and Louise. And we talk about it to this day, right?
I love it.
And her parents helped me get an apartment in the back of someone's house. Her mom helped me buy a $500 Toyota Corolla, which had oxidized paint and had the seat was actually propped up with a cardboard box. And I worked 2 jobs and went to school at night. And Maya has been there for every single major event of my life. And we talk at least once a week on Zoom. And when I think about it, I just think, gosh, there is something so meaningful about having a friend for 50 years, that you don't have to explain any of your backstory to, because they were there, right? And then just the one thing that I want to say about her is that she is one person in my life who has just never judged me. And that is a really amazing thing. And so Maya is my is my mental model for when I finally was set free, right, from pretty horrible childhood and launched into life. So that is my number 1.
Oh, gosh. Well, so many things. First of all, Maya Stonecastle. That's just like the best name ever, isn't it?
I know.
And I mean, how lucky is she, but how lucky are you? I mean, the lottery thing, I mean, that can go either way, can't it? It can be make or break. Some people say it's the best thing that ever happened to them. Some people the opposite. But it sounds like she, she may have given you that stability, if you like, to sort of, I'm going to ask you what happened next, because I want to know, did you then, from getting those 2 jobs, and it sounds like you did night school, did you go to your college? Did you do your degree? Did you have all of that from that?
Oh, I love that question. So I did finish college. I worked 2 jobs, including got a job. It took me 9 years to get my undergrad, and I could have done it faster, but then I would have had to take out loans. So I give myself credit. I graduated with no debt, right, which is not an easy thing. But in the meantime, I was a journalism major in college. I got a job at a magazine. So I ended up becoming an editor, winning a Webby, like doing a real job before I graduated from college. So definitely not your conventional go to college, go to work kind of story. Yeah.
But did you live with Maya? Did you live with her family?
No. So they helped me move into the back of someone's house. Right. And I did it all. I mean, once Maya's mom helped me get set up, we can't remember if I paid her back or whatever, but once they got me set up, I was fully self-funded, starting from when I was 17, like by the time I turned 18.
But stability isn't just about money anyway. Sounds like she's been your absolute sort of bedrock through your whole life anyway. So, I think if you have someone like that in your life, and that I've said this before on my podcast, which is, the people that you've had since school days, they're just like treasures, because like you say, you don't have to fill in any gaps. I have a friend who's known me since I was 7, and I always I know where she lives, and I know that she lives over there. If that makes sense. She's over there, and I might not speak to her for 1 year to the next, but I know she's over there. And if I do speak to her, it's like straight in, like like no time has passed, and we're just aware of each other. I'm here, she's there, and that's how it is. And I imagine when we get older and those people start not being there, that's when, I don't know, that stability, that kind of centeredness that it doesn't even have to have words, starts to maybe change. And I'm going off subject a bit now, but I remember when my dad was aging and not long really left, and I said, "What's the worst thing about getting older?" And he said, "All your friends dying." And I thought it was really interesting. He didn't say family. He didn't say colleagues. He did mention a few film stars, Elizabeth Taylor, if I remember rightly. But he said it was his friends, losing his friends meant the most to him, particularly those ones he's known his whole life. So these people, I'm not surprised that Maya's number 1, not just for chronological order, but because of the impact she had on setting you, like you say, when launching your life. I think she deserves the top spot for sure. So that's good.
We've had adventures, Julia, in growing up in LA together in the 90s that just money can't buy the gift that we've had together. And the fact that she ended up starting a food tour in Venice, Italy, and getting into the Rick Steves guidebook, which is impossible without speaking Italian. And then, like her, she reported to Rupert Murdoch back during the MySpace days. Like, she's got a great story, and it's just wonderful to have her, like, be practically my sister, 50 years later. It's amazing.
Oh, lucky both of you, really. I think that's what I'm going to put here. I'm going to write the word lucky. I've underlined it. All right, brilliant. Okay, well, she sounds absolutely amazing. So should we go on to number 2? Who's number 2?
Sure. Number 2 is Dr. David Stein. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. So I ended up in San Francisco by the time I was 22 years old. I was working at an AI software company. This is early 90s. And I don't think I hadn't finished college at this point. So anyway, got another real job. And I somehow, Julia, and I don't know really how I can answer the question, but I recognize that I was a broken person who was gravitating towards bad choices, particularly in men. And I found a therapist. And I love to say that Dr. Stein saved my life. Because I had this not a great childhood, I had daddy issues, right? Like big time. My real dad left us when I was 4. My stepdad was heavy-handed. Dr. Stein helped me unpack kind of all of the damage from my childhood and find different ways of making better choices. And so I was in this pattern. I was a leg model for a while. I was dating some famous, very wealthy people. I was flying around in a private jet. I thought I was the bee's knees, right? And it was not ultimately the right thing for me to build a life around kind of all of this fake, not real stuff with men that were likely just, using me. And fine, I was using them too. I mean, I'm not saying I was a victim, but either way, not good choices. And so Dr. Stein saved my life. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
No, do you know what? Are you sure we didn't, I don't know, get swapped at birth or something? Or maybe we are sisters somewhere. We're just like parallel life Julias, because, so much of your story is similar to mine. Different things, but I left home at maybe 16, actually, 16, 17. Same thing. Horrible childhood. Yeah. Horrible childhood. Just kind of had to get out and do my own thing and get started. And again, much later, and I didn't do AI. You were well ahead. I did the .com thing. I was living in LA in 1998, doing the whole .com thing.
Wow. I was doing the .com thing too. So after the AI thing, I did the .com thing. Wow.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of parallels here. And late life person to find a therapist. And I've talked about mine before. Her name was Donna. And, I genuinely think the people that... Okay, so therapy can have quite a negative connotation. But I always say to people, it's like having the smartest friend that you can say anything to in a safe space with no judgment and really genuinely work things through and actually get into stuff that you feel you can't say to a friend because you don't want to take up their time, or you don't know if they can be really impartial, or how do you really trust that their advice is not projecting, etc. Whereas a therapist, if you find one that you can be truly relaxed with and open and honest, they are lifesavers. They're amazing guides and guardians and just champions of you. And I couldn't be without mine, actually. If you're listening, Donna, I couldn't be without you. Just
I think that they are a good one could save your life, and I really am so deeply grateful that I met him when I did, and that he hung in there with me. There were times when he would get so flabbergasted. I could see, and he was, in his 60s and I was in my 20s. And so I don't know if this is healthy or not healthy, but I was definitely projecting daddy issues on him, right? Like I really wanted him to be my dad. Yeah. But in that regard, I think it was healthy, right? Because I was young enough that I needed a healthy male role model to kind of show me what good looked like, because I just didn't have any idea.
Well, healthy fatherliness. There's a lot of at the moment about what healthy masculinity looks like. We all love healthy masculinity. A great father that guides you and protects you and, shows you how to do things and, is your biggest cheerleader and, your kind of center point for who you are. We all want one of those. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of talk about masculinity is very skewed at the moment to the minority. And I feel like, celebrating men like Dr. Stein and saying, well, they do exist. They exist and they're there for you and they're there to love you and support you. And if you've had a rough time with father figures before, I can totally understand that you would. I don't think it's projecting. I think you're just wanting to have a good, solid guy to help you navigate some very difficult times. In your 20s, it's very difficult to know who you are and what's safe and not safe. But I also want to pull you up on this private jet thing, because
yes,
I've never been on one of those. What's it like?
Well, first of all, the number one thing that I say to people about private jets is most of the people that I know who have been on them, myself included, is it's not comfortable.
Oh.
Because you are so stressed out normally by the other people that are in the plane, right? So there's really nothing exciting about it, because in my case, I was in the plane with like very senior executives from Silicon Valley, and I was dating the first chief legal counsel for Oracle, who's best friends with Larry Ellison. And so we were in the plane with like crazy, like Mark Benioff, a baby Mark Benioff would be on the plane. And I was just a kid, and and I was the much younger girlfriend to the much older man. And so then they just dismissed me as a trophy, which I hated. And yeah, no, private planes are stressful. That's my mental image of them is, somebody's paying for this. And so they might want something, and I'm probably not going to be happy about giving that to them. And that is kind of what I think most young women have to be prepared for if you're going to end up in a private plane. You know what I mean?
Do you know, that is not the answer I was expecting you to say.
Okay, sorry.
But I love it. No, because I love the honesty of it. And I love that I can just picture that now. It's like, yes, I'm sitting in this great big sort of leather seat, and it's, the champagne was probably delicious. But it comes with something, doesn't it? It comes with a connotation. So, okay. Do you mind if I ask the question again, though? What is it like for the ride? Is it comfortable? Is it quiet? I mean,
it's fabulous. It is fabulous. We went to Paris. Michael and I went to Paris on the plane once together, and he was lovely. By the way, I'm not saying he was a bad guy. He was a lovely guy. And by the way, it's also weird, Julia, to be 55 and then like asking ChatGPT, putting these names in of the people that I was hanging out with in the early 90s. And then Michael comes back as the godfather of SMS marketing. Like he invented SMS marketing. And I'm like, I was engaged to the guy who invented SMS marketing. And I had you just have no idea like where you're going to end up when you turn 55, I guess, in my case.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was I'm still going to push you on this though. So you flew with Paris, and
yes,
it's smooth, it's quiet.
It's quiet.
What's it like to you off? Is it
the same?
Does it feel the same as a commercial airline? Or not?
It did to me. It's so funny. It was so long ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just loving this because it's not something I'll probably ever do in my life, and I don't often meet people who've been on a private jet. So sorry for the questions.
No, I love it. I made a deliberate choice to step away from that whole train. I mean, Julia, we haven't even talked about the fact that I have a rock song written about me that was written right around that same time called Rome, Rome, and it's by Dan Byrne. And it's literally, the lyrics are Julia, Julia, bitch of the Nile. There is no mistaking that the song is about me. So yes, I was living quite an adventurous lifestyle in the early 90s. I was having lots of fun.
Do you know what? We should have met, because I was in LA in the late 90s, and I didn't have any fun. I'll be honest. I went looking for
why?
it. I don't know. I lived in just on the sort of border of Orange County, LA.
Okay.
So, what was it called? Santa Ana.
Santa Ana, okay.
Yeah, that was where it was. And it was just in Orange County, near Huntington Beach.
Yep.
Yeah, you know the area?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
I was like 28. I thought I was going to be a valley girl. I had my apartment. I had my car. I was working in this great big .com business that was being funded by all the big names. And, I definitely thought I was going to become a billionaire. I know no one said billion back then. We were all going to be millionaires.
Yeah, fair.
And, put everything into it. And I just worked. I worked and I went home, and occasionally I went to a 24-hour gym. And, I was there over a year, and it kind of went as a blur. I didn't do anything. I was looking for the party. Couldn't find it. I was too busy working. And all my colleagues just worked and went home. And, missed the party. So, went home. Kind of.
I am fascinated by that, because I actually was living by then in San Francisco, and in San Francisco we worked really hard from like 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. But at 5 p.m. the place shut down, even during the .com boom, and everybody just went out and partied. So I definitely got that side of. I think my husband and I lived in Anaheim Hills for 10 years after, years later. So I know exactly where you were. I'm thinking maybe it was just the location, kind of not all the way in LA, not deep in Orange County. Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, I think you're right. I used to have to drive everywhere as well, which is very easy to do. If you want to have a beer. So, all right. Well, you were having the party. I was dreaming about it. Okay, brilliant. Well, let's go on to number 3, please.
Okay. So I want to caveat number 3 as a big, big caveat, because it's my husband, and I am not, as we've discussed, a sentimental person. I have a very independent marriage. I have my own name. I have my own bank accounts. We actually had 2 kids together before we got married, so had no interest in getting married in order to have kids. And so I don't want to be one of these cheesy people that chose my spouse because I felt like I had to. Do you know what I mean? Like, you asked, was it hard to pick the list? And it was, because my natural tendency would be to keep Chris off the list, because it's just the optics of it make it sound kind of not me. And yet the reality, Julia, is that I got lucky, and I made a deliberate choice to marry my husband, but so I didn't get lucky in that regard, but I did get lucky in that I met somebody that would be my best friend and never try to change me in 25 years. And I feel like I'm the luckiest person alive for that I met a man that is my best friend, and he's just the freaking best. And he's my favorite person to hang around with. And I just don't know how that happened.
Oh, wonderful. Well, that's okay. I love it. I know what you mean. It is slightly off-brand to choose your husband, but not really. Not really. I mean, especially someone who, I imagine he would choose you back, right? So if I was interviewing him, he'd put you on the list, right?
He would. I found out from all of his clients recently that he talks about me all the time when I'm never there, when I'm not there. So yeah, I think he would. Yeah.
So I feel like that's okay then. You know what I mean? You're not playing kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? So you're not being traditional in that sense of just, my husband this, my husband that. It's actually that you are just, to each other, you are each other's person. And of course he's going to be on the list. Whether you've led this unconventional marriage or not, how you've kind of structured your marriage is separate to that. So no, I love that, and I don't know. I quite like the idea of. How does he feel about when you broke off? Who broke off the engagement? Can we talk about that? Whoever, why you didn't get engaged the first time to the guy with the jet?
Yeah, Michael. Yeah.
To Michael. How did Chris sort of feel about, following in those footsteps? Did he think, she used to go out with a guy who had a jet, or used to take me on jets? Did he feel any kind of pressure about that? Or was he just like, nah, these things aren't important?
He didn't care. And I think that's because he himself is just so confident in ways that don't need to be screaming out loud. And he's very independent, and he's never been online much, not even, ever, even to this day. And so he's just living his life in a way that he doesn't really give a damn what anybody thinks. And in that regard, I really have at times cared about what other people think and what other people are doing. And he's just always just been the same solid person, just not giving a damn about how unconventional he wants to live his life. And we just made a great pair that way. And the thing that I want to share that I think I would love to get your perspective on this is, we go to dinner and we don't spend the whole time talking about our kids. In fact, we almost never talk about our kids to anybody or to each other. And I feel like we're weirdos because we go out to dinner with people and all they want to do is just keep asking about our kids. And Chris and I are like, okay, well, we're just not those people that are obsessed with the kids and revolved around them. We expect them to be independent and we expect them to go live their life. And our son is away at college and we barely check in with him. He knows he can always reach out to us if he needs something. But I just find that we've ended up being very unconventional together, and we didn't plan it that way. And it has worked out in a beautiful sense. And I just feel so blessed.
Okay. Then again, we're very aligned. I remember going out in the early days. Those early days when you got 2 kids, right? Is that
3 boys?
3. Oh my good Lord. Okay. Well, there's a phase of life where getting out at all is like gold, getting out at all. And the kind of the logistics of that can be huge. And you're finally there. You're at the pub. You've got your drinks in front of you. You've got all your friends there. You haven't seen them for ages, and first thing they want to talk about is their kids. And I do remember stopping the conversation once and going, guys, this is the only time that we're going to have for could be weeks to be together and not have kids around our ankles. And we want to talk about our kids. Are you kidding me? No, we've got to make this about adult conversation, adult things. So totally get that from you. I mean, I'm the same, absolutely the same. I love my kids. I tease them sometimes and say, it wouldn't kill you to ring me now and then. But actually, I'm quite pleased that they don't. It means they're getting on and having a good time. So
exactly.
Yeah.
They're independent. They're independent adults, right? Which is kind of what you're hoping for, right? You and I left home early and didn't look back. So why do we coddle 28, 30-year-old kids? I find does them a huge disservice. You know what? Get pushed out the nest and figure it out.
All right. Well, my son's next door. He's 22. He's in the next room. Did you hear that?
Well,
Julia, out. Out now. You've been coddled. He probably has, actually. Mothers and their sons and all that. No, I'm sure he'll be leaving very soon, and I'll miss him terribly. But
yes, you will.
Yeah, but this generation, they stay a lot longer. It's not their fault. Affordability is so hard. It's so expensive to leave home these days. But here we are. All right. Well, good old Chris. 25 years, eh? Did you do anything special?
25. No. In fact, the other fun thing, Julia, is that we do not know our anniversary. And we got married on the 7th or 8th of January, maybe the 9th. And what's funny is that we were joking one night about, I wish I should have brought this prop. We were joking with our friends about the fact that we don't know our anniversary. And they were like, oh, come on. And my good friend Bonnie was like, isn't it in January? And we're like, oh, it's January now. So we ran upstairs and got the certificate. That day was our 10-year anniversary, and we had no idea. So we had this big group picture of all of our friends on our anniversary, not knowing it was our anniversary. Anyway, no. So I don't even know. I think it'll be 25 years in September sometime.
Amazing. I love that.
Amazing.
When did we get married, darling? When did we have sometime in January?
Here's what my husband would say to you. He would say, I don't have a wife who gets mad when I miss our anniversary because she doesn't know when it is either.
Amazing. I love that. You two are absolutely made for each other. Fabulous. All right. So we've done 3. Who's number 4?
So number 4 is I chose a gentleman by the name of T.J. Devaney. Dievieney, good Irish name. And I chose TJ because he was my boss for almost 15 years. And when it was kind of one of these things after the Great Recession, Wells Fargo, where I worked, bought Wachovia. There was a huge integration event, and people were very worried about losing their jobs. And when people are afraid, they tend to cling, which then brings out behaviors that are interesting and unique. And then the more you cling, the worse it gets. I feel like, you start to lose your grasp because you're clutching too hard. So I was very worried about losing my job. As you know, going into a huge recession, all the news is so bad. And I channeled Dr. Stein, who told me in my head, you have to, think abundance, not scarcity. Absolutely. So I went to TJ and I said, I will do any job you want me to do during this integration. And at the end of it, you tell me what I'm doing next. And he gave me the conversion of third-party managed investment accounts. And I did that, and it ended up being a massive success. And because of that success, they named me head of the private bank. They created a job for me as global head of the private bank for Wells Fargo. And then I had that job for 14 years with increasing spans of control. So every time TJ would get promoted, he would give me something else to do because he recognized my talent. And I ended up managing a call center. I ended up managing fiduciary operations. I ended up managing the largest tax center in the United States. And so what I want to say about it is it's easy in those moments to think that your success is because of you. And I, like many people, fell into a trap of just thinking I was awesome. But when I lost it all, right, when I left Wells and went someplace else and did not have a TJ having my back, it was horrible. And so I realized my success was a lot because of TJ, right? Like our dynamic worked together. He trusted me. I trusted him. There was 100% trust. And we helped each other. And I got really lucky in financial services to have that situation happen to me, because I don't think I would have had this incredible success. I know that I wouldn't if it hadn't been for TJ. And I mean, it makes me almost cry thinking about all of the ways in which he believed in me and helped me and promoted me even when I was heavily pregnant twice. Like those people really can make a difference in someone's life. And TJ is an inspiration for me to show up like he did for other people as they're coming up in their career. So I don't think that I could ever say enough about what an incredible leader he is and how much he meant to me.
Well, there's so much I want to talk about there. First of all, great name again, TJ. What does it stand for? Do you remember?
He really didn't like anybody to know. I think it was Thomas, like something, but nobody really knew. Yeah. It's just TJ. Yeah.
That's all right. I was JD for years and years.
Oh, you were? Oh, how fun.
That's it. And I wish I'd never dropped it, because I was called JD for probably 15 years to maybe 20 years of my life. And then I'm coming back to TJ, don't worry. But then I became Billy for a while. Long story.
How was that?
I left my band and I went solo for a while, and that was my stage name. So there's whole swathes of people in my life who still call me Billy. And
Do you answer to it? It's like it's somebody said, oh, you like hear it and go, oh, they're calling me.
Yeah, only if I know them, someone shouted Billy in the street, I'd walk straight past. But, if I have friends who just call me Billy or sometimes Bill, which is interesting. But yeah, I just went to Julia and stayed there. But yeah, I was JD for years. I wish I'd kept it.
Well, now what's weird about that is that TJ only called me JCC, just my initials. So it's really funny that you mentioned JD in that context of TJ, because I was JCC to TJ. And
I always think that Julia's, as a name, is actually quite hard to say for a lot of people. It's Julia, 3 syllables and such a small word.
Right.
Do you ever get called Jules? I get called Jules.
I do a lot. I get called Jules a lot. Yeah. I don't mind. I just hate Julie because I really hate Julie. So that's the only one that drives me nuts.
All right. Me too. Right. Back to TJ. So this idea of abundance, I want to talk about that first of all. I am absolutely rock solid a fan of abundance as a way of living. This idea that there's enough for everybody, just trust in the universe, just let it be. Let's see what the world can offer you and just open your arms and let it in. And I promise you that only times in my life and career that I've taken a scarcity mentality and been backward thinking. It didn't last long, maybe a few days, but they're probably the most miserable days of my career. I am not somebody who can live in that space. I can't live in the space of scarcity. If I get into a scarcity mindset, and I have to pull myself out of it, I have to find some sort of creative pursuit that lifts my everything, my chemicals, my nervous system, my light, if you like. And and it when you meet people, you can tell who's got the scarcity mentality, that kind of, I've got to keep my stuff close to me.
Yeah.
And energetically, I'm very, very allergic to people like that. I'm definitely attracted to other abundant people. So I want to say about that. And then, this idea of having somebody who really sees you, uses their social capital, their work capital to sort of advance you and give you chances. And advocate for you and help you guide your career. And I'm not surprised when you went your separate ways that there was a moment or a period of time where you felt that loss. Because it wouldn't have just been the fact that you had, somebody there in a senior position. It would be the chemistry between you, just the knowing that he's there, that if something had gone wrong, you can sidle up to his office and go, this just happened. What do you reckon? All of that would be a huge loss. And, this idea of kind of sponsorship too. Everyone talks about sponsorship these days and how important that is for people, young people who are coming through, to find somebody who can, invest in your success. I think you were very fortunate to meet him. Did you find sorry, you were going to say something.
Well, do you mind if I just say that the other crazy thing, Julia, is that I left there and then met someone, I can't really talk about it much, but I met someone there that I thought would be a sponsor for me in my kind of the next thing that I did. And that person ended up being a total charlatan, like a charlotte. What is somebody who, chameleon, somebody who just was not who they said they were. And was actually doing the opposite, was actually sabotaging me when I thought they were supporting me. And so I went from this over a decade of having this very trusting, very close, very real connection to then being drawn to someone I thought was the same and then having them be the opposite and then having that send me into a huge tailspin last year. And it's very jarring and difficult to describe going from like one opposite to the other and kind of not knowing, beating myself up a lot for like not recognizing the signs. And like, there's a whole thing to unpack there. But yes, very lucky for Mr. Devaney. There's the dog.
There's the dog again. Shall we let her in, Julia?
Yes, of course.
Hold on.
Yes.
What a pest. Come on, then. She is absolutely beautiful, which is the only reason she gets away with so much is because
What's her name?
her name's Maggie. Would you like to meet her?
I love that. I would.
Maggie, come to her then. Come on. Really? Are you ready?
Oh my good. Oh my Lord, Maggie, you are adorable. Like very, very camera ready. Oh,
She's putting her head on my...
and then she's putting her head on your shoulder. That's just, oh my God.
There you go. That's the viral part of this whole podcast. That's the bit that's going to go with viral.
I can't believe she's putting her head on your shoulder. That's so manipulative.
Massively. She knows exactly what she's doing. Anyway, I'm glad you made an appearance. So, yes, we were talking about the parallel or the paradox between those two. And I can relate completely. And I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they referenced Maya Angelou's quote, which is, when something like that happens, you have to say thank you first, which is this idea that when something like that happens, there's a lesson in it for us all. There's something, and I think she talked about it being an unhealed wound. There's something in our past that this person that's caused you this current, fairly recent pain has come into your life to challenge you on that wound. So I bet if you sat and really thought about it, there's something, somebody or some other experience way back that hasn't been truly healed, that this person is now a reminder of, and was probably why you felt it so strongly.
Can you email me the podcast you were listening to when we...
Yeah, definitely.
Do you mind? You're giving me goosebumps.
Yeah, I'm going to try and remember it. I'll send it to you after. But it was,
Right.
The principle being, say thank you to the universe for providing that particular person, putting that person in your path for you to experience, but it will be something way back. That's
Wow.
And now the other part of it is that you're probably now ready to face into it, whereas before you wouldn't have been.
Wow. This is a very powerful moment, by the way, because I thank you for that.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You got Maggie and you got Maya Angelou in the next, in 30 seconds.
Wow. Amazing.
Oh, listen, I the other thing I want to say to you is, if you've been lucky enough to meet a TJ in your life, how can I put this? I would imagine if you've come from a different... I'm not even imagine. I know, because I came from the same. We are a little bit soft in our underbellies. When you've had a lot of trauma in your life, you are very vulnerable to the wrong kind of person. And it's devastating. What is their normal? What is their normal way of operating? The normal way they get their needs met, can have devastating impact on the soft underbellies of people who've come through trauma. And it's a crazy thing, this idea that, you would attract someone like that who'd want to hurt you. But we kind of do. And there's something about it. And I'm sort of trying to work it out for myself too. There's people in my life who just seem to come at me and challenge me and hit me in all the sort of softer parts of my sort of weaknesses. And I'm thinking, why are you doing that? I'm a good person. Leave it.
Right.
But there must be a reason. There must be a learning in this for me. I've got to face into it, I think. It's easier to run away, but I'm going to face into it. But anyway, do you feel that way? Do you ever, you know what I'm talking about?
Well, listen, lady, I mean, this is hitting me. I actually hadn't ever thought of it that way. And in a lot of ways, I've struggled to move through it. And so you have given me something to think about so I'm just going to leave it at that, because I actually hadn't thought of it that way. And I think it's a really powerful way. And I'm still in it. So I really need to move through it and move on. Right. And never, the person will always be there, I think, because it happened and it is what it is. But but I need to not let it be occupying my brain anymore. Do you know what I mean? And so anyway, I'm hoping that by the end of this year, it'll be done.
All right.
So,
we'll check in with you.
yes.
I'll check in with you on either January the 7th, 8th or 9th, unless you're busy on one of your anniversaries.
Let me know. Ask how I'm doing.
Yeah, on one of those days. All right, brilliant. Okay, well, TJ sounds amazing. You were very fortunate to have him in your life, and I hope he's still going strong somewhere.
He still, he texts every once in a while. Hey, JCC, what's going on?
I love that. All right, well, we're at the finale then. Who's number 5?
Yeah, so this is a big one, and kind of maybe more in keeping with, the normal run of guests. My number 1 is my mom, and her name is Maudi. She is born in Bandung, Indonesia. She is the eldest daughter of 10 kids, and she came to the United States as a teenager. Her first language is like not English. She speaks Dutch kind of most fluently now. I mean, she speaks English as her primary language now, but when she moved here, she spoke Dutch. And look, the reason that I picked mom and the reason that it is in this trajectory is intentional, and it's because I watched my mom not have choices as an adult because her mother and father would not let her go to college. She was expected to get married and have kids. She has bad taste in men and made 2 bad choices, right? My dad and then her next husband. And she did not have any opportunities to have a voice. And so when I was 7 years old, at school, and other people would stand up and they would ask these girls, what do you want to be when you grow up? And all the little girls were, as you know, our age, saying they want to be a princess. I very famously stood up and said, I want to work. And I said I wanted to work because I didn't want to be my mom. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to be helpless. I didn't want, and that is also why I rejected Michael's marriage proposal, because I didn't want to be owned by him. I didn't care. All the money in the world was never going to make me feel good about my life. Like, I would say to people, I want to be Julia Carreon. It is why I didn't change my name when I got married. It's like a deliberate choice. So watching my mom and having resentment towards my mom for not having choices and putting me, I felt like, in a position where we could not leave my stepdad because she did not have money, is a whole thing, right? Like, it's my mom's choices shaped my choices. And yet, this is the part that I can't wait to get your reaction to. Who I am now in so many ways is my mom. And the things that I am the most proud of in terms of my personality and who I am now as an adult came from my mother. So I was not a conventional housewife. I was not a conventional mother, but I made one choice when my kids were born. Because I worked. I traveled 3 weeks a month. I would cook every meal from scratch. And to do that required prepping on the weekends, having my nannies do all my grocery shopping. And that's my mom, right? My mom, Indonesian cook, made everything from scratch. So now I have 3 gigantic, my middle son is 6'3". Like, I have these 3 gigantic boys who I've fed them every possible meal from scratch, and they have incredible eating habits, and they have great healthy perspectives on food. And I have a huge passion for obesity and that impact on mental health and all of that. So, like, this whole side of my personality is my mom. And I've spent my entire life running away from being my mom, and yet my mom has been with me my whole time. Yeah. And in that regard, I just love it in like the most unexpected ways. And she's just a wonderful, lovely, deeply good human being. And I just want to be more like her. And I'm her in many ways, I think. So that's my mom.
I love that. We get a lot of mums on here.
I'm sure. Yes.
And I always say the same thing, which is I have mum envy because I didn't know my mum at all. So every time I hear people talk about their mums, I don't know. I just find it, no matter what everyone's story is different, but just the idea of a mum, I think, is something quite central to my loss and longing, I would say. I'm always looking for sort of versions of it. And the version I'm seeing with your mum is someone who, I can totally understand this idea of rejecting her lack of choices because you felt resentment against your choices. But and as I'm sure you've already done the work on this, it's a generational thing that those choices weren't available to her. It's like,
No.
you've grown on the back of her shoulders. She stood there so you could then be the next generation that could do the choices you've had. And you've honoured her by going on to be this incredible woman that has lived on her own terms, taken those choices. And I imagine there's a backstory with her from Indonesia to where? To the US? Did she?
Yes, to the US.
So you can, without even really going deeply into it, you can automatically know the challenges that she would have overcome to any immigrant does when they first go into a new place. For you to then find your home in the US and build such an incredible career. So I look at my kids, and I actually had this conversation only today, which was, sometimes I think, gosh, have I got enough time left to make the impact I want? And have I achieved as many things as I set out to do? And I remember that, yeah, I have actually. I've created a platform for my two to take on, to go from my shoulders. And I've overcome so much to create a pair of shoulders of which they can stand in the first place. So I'm probably like I'm like your mum in this story. I don't believe I had that many choices when I was young. I made the best of them. But my next generation is what I'm hoping it was all worthwhile for. So I have an affinity with Maudie. Did you say Maudie?
Maudie.
I have an affinity with her, but I also relate to what you were saying about kicking against a person. Like, I will do the opposite, but actually she was with you the whole time. I love the way you sort of said that. I kicked against my dad for my whole life. He died in 2019, just before COVID. Not off COVID, he died of dementia. But, I never thought he had any meaning or purpose or impact in my life at all, because I hardly knew him. But he turned out to be the single most influential person for what happened next.
Wow.
So it's like, although it seemingly occupies this kind of opposite position, these parents of ours, they can just, I don't know. I love how you phrased it. She was with me all along. They are wrapped in us. They're inextricable. You can't put them over there in the corner. They are who you are. And my last point, if you didn't go on, sorry.
I just wanted to ask you if I think about it with my own kids, because I am not close to my oldest son, who we almost died in childbirth, and it's like a big thing, and we have always been at odds, and we're just not close. And I talked to my therapist about it. Like, one day he is going to appreciate what I brought to the table, and he's not there yet. And then he could talk to me about any of the trauma that he wants to at any time, and I'm happy to have the conversation. But that, I just think about it with my mom. Like, did she ever think that I would one day recognize that she was there all along, like that she was with me all along? I think about it. I hope that someday my own kids will have that realization, right? Because I haven't been a conventional mother in the way most people think about it, I don't think.
Well, they say there's two main milestones for people to get that. One is when they have their own children, if they do have them.
Yeah,
That's what that hits them like a truck. They go, oh, I now get it.
Yeah.
The effort, the work, the investment that my mum made for me to be able to be a father today, and what it feels to be a parent. You can't teach someone that. They can't read it in a book, right? And then the second thing they say is you never truly grow up until your parents are gone. That's another big milestone. That's another big developmental shift where you start to really appreciate the people that came before you, and you get your sense of ancestry. I think people can't get ancestry until they're much older. I really don't. I don't believe you get your sense of ancestry until you're top of the tree. So when you've lost parents,
right?
I think that's when it hits you that you're the vanguard now, and you're sitting atop 150,000 years of ancestors. That's when it hits you. So do you have your father still?
I do.
Even if you haven't got
both parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, both parents are still alive.
Yeah, so I lost my mum when I was very small, and then my dad didn't remarry, and he died, as I say, in 2019. And it's like, oh, tectonic plates did shift. Let's put it that way.
Wow.
It felt so different to walk this earth being parentless, even if I didn't have a relationship with him. It's so weird. It's really weird.
Weird. And so he never remarried. I mean, that's got to be a fascinating story in and of itself.
Oh, it's quite easy. Do you want to know? Do you know why?
Yes.
All right.
Why?
Well, it's all in my book anyway, so it's all very public domain.
I have to, what's your book again? I mean, I'll find it.
It's called The House on Dogbone Street.
Okay.
My dad was born in 1929, at a time when, sort of parental roles and gender roles were very, very straightforward. The man went to work and the woman stayed at home. And I think somewhere along the line, he bought into the whole idea of that. So he sort of found himself a pen friend called Margaret, my mother, and set about having 4 children. And if there was ever 2 people who should never have had kids, it was these 2. My mum died of multiple organ failure when she was in a mental institution. She couldn't take the medication. It just killed her. She didn't make it. I think she was 45 when she died. And my dad often used to say, I chose the wrong mum for you because she just wasn't mentally strong enough to have 4 children. And he wanted 4 children. But at the whole time, my dad was having this sort of, outwardly family life. He was, very much in the closet as a gay man. He just couldn't be, but he couldn't be public. So when she died, he didn't replace her because it wasn't he didn't need to at this point. He had his 4 children. He didn't need a wife as such. But he went on to live the balance of his life very lonely, very, very transient. He was barely home because he had, all of his relationships outside the house. And yet we all knew as the kids, we all knew this was so. And, it had major impact on us as kids and our lives because we kind of essentially had to raise ourselves. So the book's about that, really, how I kind of got through all of that and the people around me that helped me. Hence, now I'm doing this podcast called People Are Everything, because I believe it's the people around me that sort of pulled me through it.
Can I say, Julia, I'm fascinated by his desire as a closeted gay man to want children so much. That, that just is a really interesting thing, right? Most of my brother-in-law is gay. He didn't want kids. Like a lot of gay men just deliberately don't want kids. So the opposite is just a fascinating fascinating thing.
Well, here's another one for you then, Julia. Julia C. Carreon. I didn't say that right, did I? Carreon.
Doesn't matter.
JCC. Well, when my dad died, that was when I came out as well, at the age of 50. I didn't realize that I was rejecting him so deeply that I was rejecting myself, completely rejecting myself. And I've got 2 kids. My desire to be a mother had nothing to do with my sexuality at all.
No. Right.
And so, I live with Catherine now. I've spoken about her on the podcast before. Yeah. And my life couldn't be more different. I'm still very much in the life of my ex-husband. And, Yeah, and I put a lot of that into, I rejected him so deeply that I would do anything not to be like him. And yet, like you said, I was carrying him with me all along. So, it's complicated stuff. It's so, like, people now want to say, well, did you always know? And I say, well, kind of not, kind of yes, kind of no. It was very muddled. I didn't have a mother. Could it have been that? Could it have been, I never had really a family. So Neil was my family. I didn't want to break connection with him. And I wanted to be a mother. So it's not straightforward at all.
No, it's not.
But we could do a whole podcast on that if you want.
We could, and we should. I want to talk to you about that. Like it's remarkable, and I'm going to get your book. All right, lady. Well, I got to get out of here.
You don't get off that easily. There's a last question.
Oh, there's a last question. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we've done the 5, but you're not off the hook.
Okay.
Well, I'll blast through the next 2 because actually I know you've got to go because the kids are waiting. But the last couple were things like, what do you recognize in yourself now directly from these people? If you were to kind of encapsulate all the influence that these 5 have given, what can you say specifically you are embodying today?
A miracle.
You are a miracle.
I mean, I actually really think that my life could have ended up so completely different. And I know, I know that's an obvious thing to say, but like I imagine my mom lives in a little town called Rancho Cucamonga. It's not so little anymore in California. And so much about my life could have ended up just graduating high school and becoming pregnant and like living some horrible existence in Rancho Cucamonga. And the totality of these people ensured that I wouldn't in their own way. And that has been the greatest gift of my life because I can't imagine I would have survived being some pregnant housewife in Rancho Cucamonga.
Okay. Excellent. Great answer. And I normally take my time on this, but I'm going to blast through the next 2, which is, how do you honor these people going forward now? What kind of life? We're both 55. We hope we're going to live to 103, by the way, just to let you know. And what are we going to do with it? What do you want to take forward? If you're going to honor these people with how you show up for the next however many years we have left, what is the kind of essence of what that would look like?
These people all want me to use my voice to help women specifically. And I know that. I actually saw a psychic 3 years ago who said that. And all of these people, my mom especially, wants to see me not feel silenced. And the totality of kind of where my experience is and then where I kind of ended up last year with this whole thing that happened that I can't talk about, it was to silence me. And these people do not want me to be silenced. And I owe it to them to not let it happen.
They will be your strength. I totally see that. And that's a great ambition to have. Okay, very last question then. I hope you've thought about it. And I actually hope it's going to be, I think I'll write the name down. I hope it's going to be Maya, actually. Who should I speak to next and why?
Oh, it has to be Maya.
Hey, there you go. Excellent.
It has to be. And she's going to die. She's going to be so excited. Oh, that's the best.
Yes, I want to speak to Maya. As soon as I underlined her 3 times when you spoke about her the first time round. So, listen, I know you've got to go for your family day. I do appreciate you spending time with me today on Labor Day. It's been fascinating, Julia. I didn't know which way our conversation was going to go. I never do with these things. But we've covered a lot of ground. It's been a pleasure to get to know you. And I think we're going to talk again, aren't we? Offline.
I think we are. Hey, listen, and by the way, when I do my podcast, you're going to be one of my first guests because I could talk to you for days.
Oh, amazing. Hey, and by the
way, all right,
Julia. And I need a scorecard. Did I make it to number 3 at least?
You absolutely did. You actually might be making it number 2. The whole insight about this person and going through this is amazing. So I can't wait. If you could really get me the name of that podcast you're listening to, I would love it.
Consider it done.
Okay. All right. Have a great day. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
So that was Julia Carreon, otherwise known as JCC. I think I'm going to get myself a little name like that. That sounds very cool. And she is cool. She's an absolutely awesome woman. So I hope you enjoyed that. She was absolutely the fitting tribute to season 3 to be the finale there. And I'm very excited about season 4 already. I've already recorded most of it, to be honest. And I'm excited. I don't know, I'm just loving this. I think, I don't know, every season just seems to get more and more, inspiring, rich, diverse. And I'm meeting so many fabulous people. So I hope you've enjoyed this season. We're going to take a little break over Christmas. We're going to come back, I think, mid-January with season 4. I probably will put some bonus content up there again, like I did over the summer, just to kind of give you something to listen to each week. But until then, happy holidays for everybody. I hope you have a restful time with your families, and I look forward to seeing you in the new year. Take care till then. Bye-bye.